world is being reimagined and reshaped at this moment, and more than ever, we need female voices to add to the chorus of new architects. What kind of society do we really want to live in? And with that, I say welcome to all, and thank you for being part of Women Texas Film Festival. I want to open up this chat to all comments of reinforcement from everyone here today. So if you have watched the other director's film, feel free to speak up about theirs. May I start with you, Sharon, about, you are director, producer, editor for When You Clean a Stranger's Home, and kind of what the message was and what you learned also in making the film.
Yeah, so When You Clean a Stranger's Home, just to give context, it was the one about the mom and daughter who were cleaning other people's houses. And it was, I mean, when I grew up, I grew up cleaning houses with my mom, and I had a lot of memories, you know, from just like seeing the different kinds of toys that the others had. And I kind of wanted to show just what a lot of first generation kids go through as they're accompanying their parents to their jobs. Like, we see a lot of things that maybe other people would not have seen. And so, yeah, I really wanted to kind of just show this unique perspective that actually isn't all that unique, because we've had so many people connecting with us, telling us that they remember cleaning houses or offices or hospitals with their parents also.
It's an intimate thing you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, all my films are from personal experience. And, you know, even before film school, I was cleaning houses for my own income. And it's a very invisible profession. And through this film, like, we really wanted to make them visible, and also to kind of instill pride in these women that do this work, you know, letting them know you don't have to have your head down while you do this. Like, you're doing an honorable thing. And because of you, like on our social media, we have just a bunch of, we try to post things anytime we find someone who was raised by a domestic worker. We'll share it on there. And someone just shared with us, there's a NASA engineer, and so we'll be posting about her soon too. So, I mean, these women are laying this foundation for a lot of artists, leaders, people who go on to do really great things.
We're very classist in our nation, aren't we?
Yes, I mean, but also we tend to put other occupations on a pedestal, where like occupations like domestic workers, they're the glue to our society, that are keeping our spaces clean, keeping our yards looking great. Those are still very honorable professions.
Agreed. I think there was a line in the film when you said sometimes an employer would walk right past a house cleaner and not even say hello.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the invisibility. And even, you know, I know that sometimes there's a language barrier, but when I was cleaning houses, I was fluent in my client's language. And even at then, sometimes it would just, you kind of just were a kind of like a fly on the wall, and you sometimes wouldn't be acknowledged by them. So we really wanted to show, like, these people aren't just housekeepers. They're also, like, they have a life outside of this work. They're humans.
They're human. You showed that. So thank you for making a great film. And Sharon, please contribute as we continue here. But I want to jump to Verhi and Maricela. And this is a story of DACA gone wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's a film about a DACA recipient who gets stopped by a TSA agent, and her life changes, basically being raised in this country, maybe not born here, but brought here as a child. And, you know, seeing her whole life be taken away from her for just one blip in the system, basically. So I basically just wanted to address some of the issues with immigration and DACA. Right now, as we stand, I didn't make it to like fix the issue, but to bring just some awareness to it and start the conversation, which so far some of the feedback we've been getting has been that, which has been great.
And Maricela, I felt like your film was a gut punch. I did. It's powerful.
Thank you.
And I think anyone walking up to a TSA agent has anxiety, but this really captured it.
Most definitely. I just really fell in love with the story when I read the script when Virgie contacted me about working on it, and I thought it was worth, working on and telling a story that had a twist on it that's based on actual stories from various DACA recipients here in the U.S.
Yes, thank you for making a powerful film. And this is it's a Texas thing too. It's a Texas message.
Mm-hmm. It is. And, I live here in California. Maricela right now is in Texas. And, with some of the stuff happening at the border, it's scary, to think that there's children being taken away from their parents, crying, all day, all night. They're sick, especially with this COVID outbreak. We don't know what conditions really they're under. And again, it wasn't to fix the issue. It's just like, let's bring light to it. And somehow it just, from a timing perspective, it's all happening during an election year. So again, I did a touch point for those of you who haven't seen it. There is a touch point there to a speech Ronald Reagan gave back in, I think it was 1989, about immigration, which was a beautiful speech. And I just feel like as a country, we've come so far. We're so far removed from that. So
we're so far removed. That's a beautiful speech, and it was well placed. It was from 1989. And he talked about welcoming people to our country, and that's what makes us great. And it was very powerful. And I think Reagan's own party has drifted away from his own message.
Yeah, and that's, I didn't want to make it anything about a party, anything. It's just like, this is just one issue we're trying to deal with here. Can I shed some light on it? Can we start the conversation? Can we try to fix it? But now we've got a bunch of other things we need to fix too. So again, it's like, the party is so far removed and so everything's so different now, which is fine. But in a lot of ways, it's not fine. It's like, how did we get here? That was my whole point. Like, how did we get here?
Yes. That's the question that was raised. Yeah. Hey, Brittany, can I jump to you? So your eyes got big. So this is Texas Shorts. I want you to unmute yourself. This is Texas Shorts, and please tell me Bitter is not Texas, but I'm afraid it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be based off of that in Texas.
And go ahead and maybe for someone who hasn't seen it, do a quick recap.
Okay, so this film's about a little girl. She's a little Black girl. She's having a lemonade stand, and her neighbor across the street is calling the police over a unsolicited business that's going on. And so when the whole time she's on the phone, explaining to the police officers that something's going on, there's illegal crime going across the street, but all the while it's just a little girl with her little lemonade stand, which I kind of based it off. I don't know if you guys remember, like maybe like 2 years ago, there was these viral videos of white civilians calling the police on their neighbor for like selling water or like barbecues and stuff like that. They were kind of getting those names coined, Barbecue Becky or Kermit Patty, stuff like that. So it's really very based off of that.
And then in the end, the little girl is standing there and you hear the siren and the police arrive. And so I'm wondering, I'm just wondering, how does that turn out,
Which, we kind of did that like on purpose. Like it's kind of up in the air. She kind of got her way, after, because the police officers were cooperating, because they didn't really understand what was going on. So once she kind of, really embellished the story and it really got her way. And at the end, you just, hear police sirens, and now you kind of just don't know what's going to happen next. There's still black neighbors there, so anything can happen, even though is clearly a child with limited.
This is an example of what happens in our Texas, unfortunately. And the angry white neighbor calls it illegal activity or something like that.
Yeah, so like, yeah, like it's something, it's interesting. Like it really shows that like the privilege that she can like basically just say that, and it can basically, they can take it, okay, and then come right away. You know, not very much information can be said, and you know, cops can be called on them even though it's clearly innocent. And it also shows to like her discomfort from just seeing, you know, neighbors participating in their own neighborhood. Like they also live there too. So, you know, they're also participating in something that she lives in, but to her, it's more of her ownership. It's more like she owns more of she's more of an owner than they are, even though they pay a mortgage there too.
Oh boy, what a story. Thank you for making a cool film.
Thank you so much.
Don't go anywhere, Brittany.
Oh, I won't. I'll be here.
All right. Hey, Lisa, I'm going to jump over to you.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because
After those heartbreaking, touching films. Yeah, let's talk about mine.
well, maybe we need a bit of levity because
Okay.
so yeah.
Fair.
So the film is No Really, I'm Fine. And I felt quite unsettled watching this humorous film, but shout out to the corpse paint that you did on your face.
Thank you. Thank you. I think unsettling is my favorite thing that anyone has said so far about it.
So Lisa made a film that it seemed like time went backwards. How did you do that? That's what I felt like was happening because we in isolation, we don't really have a concept, do we?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was certainly trying to convey the passage of time and, you know, this woman's sort of mental health deteriorating a little bit, you know, tongue in cheek, a little in a self-deprecating way, because ultimately, like, it's mostly me and just me imagining the ways that I would probably sort of at the beginning of the pandemic, imagining the ways that I'm probably going to devolve. But luckily, actually, it's going better than I expected. So I'm doing okay. I wouldn't say I'm fine. Okay.
You are a director of Women Texas Film Festival, right?
Yeah. I'm a founding board member, and now I'm the development director. And I, you know, Justina and I work very closely to every year to pull this thing off, which is really exciting for me to see all of you participating in this Q&A.
So if I mess up, Lisa, please step in and correct me.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I do appreciate you and Justina reaching out and also Jay, our projectionist. So before I forget to say thank you, Jay, thank you for taking care of us.
Thank you, Jay. Absolutely. Both Jays.
Both Jays. So Anna, hello.
Hello.
Talk to me about For My Monolithic Girls. And you know, the story is she's reading a magazine that is how to attract boys, right?
Mm-hmm. Because that's what we all did when we were younger. I mean, well, I grew up in the 90s, so magazines were my Bible. That was really, I didn't have cable and I didn't watch a lot of TV, or I couldn't watch a lot of TV. So I would have to like sneak buying magazines from lunch money. And I just followed everything in those magazines like they were the truth. And obviously they led me astray, especially being an Asian girl, when representation of Asian women in magazines weren't that popular, especially in specifically American magazines.
Okay, and so what in the end does she decide to go which direction, or is that kind of left to me?
I think it's left to the viewer. I mean, I always love whatever the viewer thinks, because it's your experience of it's like your experience of whatever I made. But yeah, it's up to the viewer whether she decides to go with it and likes it, or if she decides to go with it because this is the only thing she knows.
Yes, gotcha. Did you make the film you wanted to make? You know, in the end, was it what you wanted? Yeah. Yes, it's definitely the film I wanted.
I would say that it's like I like to call it like a, oh honey movie. It's like at the end you're like, oh honey, like don't, but like you still do it anyway. Like the character still does it anyways. So that's the reaction I've gotten, and that's the reaction that I did want of like, oh, sweetie, like, you should, like, when you grow up, you'll know better, but like in this moment, you don't.
Gotcha. Okay. Your actress did a fantastic job. Spent all that time in the mirror, and you know, and I know sometimes even climbing into the sink so she can be real close to the mirror.
She was awesome. Her name's Yi Sing Tae. She is way more mature than I am. She was a super stellar on set, and yeah, she was so down for everything. She wanted to crawl on that counter because I originally had her just leaning into the mirror, and she's like, I think that it would be more comfortable for me to have my feet in the sink and like sit on the counter. And I was like, yeah, girl. I was like, do whatever you want, like whatever makes you feel more, like, feels more natural. Because when you're working with someone so young, like I just wanted her to feel as confident as she could in this character.
Yes. Well, you spoke to us and you gave great film. Thank you, Anna, for being here. I want to encourage all patrons and viewers to go to womentxff.org and learn more about this festival and find it on Facebook as well, and watch the Texas Shorts block.
And maybe donate.
Hey, thank you, Lisa. So just for clarity, Lisa, it is a pay what you can, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So log in, click on Texas Shorts, and then to have access to all of these films in one block, you pay a one-time what you can. Right, Lisa?
Correct. Yeah.
Very good. So Nicole, can we jump to you?
Yeah.
So the film is Pastiche,
Yes, Pastiche.
and it's about art fraud.
Yes. It is about an artist who struggles to make her own paintings sell. And so she starts doing what everyone does around her and starts making replicas, and they get stolen and sold as authentic paintings fraudulently. And she tries to get out of it, but she's in kind of a tight spot.
Was it filmed in Austin?
No, it was filmed half in DFW in Dallas, and then half of it was filmed in New York.
No kidding. All right, very cool. And yes, I don't know. It's very interesting and intriguing. And in the end, the original painter gets angry, but I haven't decided what she's going to do with that check.
Yeah, she's definitely gonna go against her better judgment and try and make some more.
Okay. So maybe another film will come forth.
Yeah. There's a feature written. Paloma's written a feature.
Okay.
This is sort of a taste of that feature.
All right. Hey, Nicole, thank you very much. It was a real joy to watch that film.
Yeah.
Hey, kudos to your actress too. Who was in every scene, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Hey, Georgia.
Hello.
So I learned a lot watching Ebb and Flow, and really this is, it's a comment on the footprint of The Wall.
Yeah, so I shot it last year when that was kind of a larger part of the discussion about the border wall in South Texas. And it was strange. I actually set out to make a butterfly movie and ended up making a border wall movie. But it's a documentary about kind of following the National Butterfly Center and their fight. They've been in a legal battle trying to secure their land from the border wall construction for many years now. And yeah, it kind of evolved just being down there near McAllen and in South Texas, which is not an area that I'm super familiar with. I was really, Texas, you show up and they're like, oh, I have to introduce you. You have to interview this guy. You have to interview this person. And they, invited me to all these protests and to their homes to have dinner. And it was just, it kind of evolved into this more like meditation on our morals as a country, kind of what we really value, land and people and kind of nature, and kind of it was a meditation on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and a very positive comments on really let's not forget nature and let's not forget butterflies, and let's look closely at what we're doing with this stupid wall.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that through the allegory of the butterfly, that I was thinking about how, like, you know, if I have like family members or people I know who disagree, instead of just kind of confronting them with this violence, to kind of try to use nature and butterflies to draw out that empathy and to try to kind of communicate the ideas of immigration through the butterflies.
It's a human story told with butterflies.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's ripe for an immigration metaphor. I mean, they're migrating. They're not abiding by borders, and they're also transforming through their migration, which I think is an important part of immigration that people forget, is that it's a necessary.
Yes, transforming into Texans and Americans and contributing citizens.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully, if people watch my film, they can, you know, even if they don't agree politically, we can at least all agree that nature and these beautiful creatures should be protected. So
all of the films in the Texas block are beautifully shot and so well done. So highly encourage everyone again to find the Texas block, donate what you can, and watch that entire block. Thanks, Georgia. Hey, Bebe, hi.
Hi, sorry for being late. I was on the road.
That's okay. Hey, so your film is Lotus.
Yes.
And this is really, well, you tell me. I found inspiration in it, and I'm wondering what she did in the end, sitting with her brother. But would you kind of describe the film and the message? And then Jessica, we're going to you after.
Describe the film?
Yes, please.
So it is basically based on my own experience of trying to fit in somebody who I think is cooler than me, and how much you would be willing to change or twist yourself to, you know, feel to fit in another group. So the story is mostly about this Asian American girl who wanna hang out with another group of girls who think she thinks that it's pretty cool, and the other group of girls is just, they're not rejecting her, but she feels very awkward because like her family is kind of conservative and also Buddhist, and they kind of disdain I don't know, drinking or smoking and all the fun stuff, and that make her uncomfortable hanging out around with them. And during a party, she also lost her bracelet, which is a pretty important stuff that her grandma gave her. In order to like avoid the trouble, she decided to steal her brother's bracelet because they have the same one. That's mainly the whole story of it. We don't know if she decided to return the bracelet back or what. It just happened.
And so in the end, she is standing outside the tattoo parlor. Her cool friends are inside getting tattoos, and she's not sure if she wants to actually open the door and go in.
Mm-hmm. That's the end. We don't really know what she will decide. I originally have a different ending, but I feel like, you know, this is the best way it is.
Yes, very cool inside look of Asian American and the difficulty sometimes of all kids, you know, who want to maybe try and join the cool kid group.
Cool.
It was very, very artistic and entertaining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jessica, hi.
Hello, hi.
So tell me where you're at and a little about your film and the message.
Sure, I'm in Austin, Texas, and my film is called The Paint Wizard. It's a documentary about a transgendered house painter who lives here in Austin, who drives around in her big yellow RV trailer and parks her RV in front of her clients' houses and then paints their houses.
And this is a real person.
It is a real person. It is a documentary. She is alive and well. here in South Austin.
And I think her message was it took her a while to really become herself, right?
Yeah, she decided to transition about two or 3 years ago when she was in her late 60s. And it's been a long struggle for her in her life, trying to go from being raised in a very conservative religious household, really struggling to find her way in the world, and then finally deciding that she needed to become who she was and who she is. And the struggles that she deals with on a regular basis, even now after she has made that transition. What she's going through, her insecurities, and it really, I think it speaks to a universal idea of feeling comfortable in your own skin.
And also, finding something you're good at and being proud of that.
Yeah, she's a really good house painter, and she's she paints houses by herself, primarily without shoes, and wearing a mini skirt and her traditional little cat ear headbands that she'll wear. And so it's an amazing sight. She'll climb up ladders or rappel out windows and paint. And if anyone's ever had their house painted, they'll know that it's not a one-person job. So it's pretty impressive to watch her work.
Yes, indeed. And in Texas and in our society as a whole, and some of the other films touch on this as well. Do we have pride in all types of trades and professions? We're a classist society, and this message is repeated in many of these films. I think in other countries, they sometimes celebrate more trades than we do here, where it seems to me you're always pushed to try and go find something that pays even more than what you're doing, which is silly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that I think probably Sharon's film speaks to that as well, like that you really should be proud of the work that you do, whatever that work is, and take pride in it. And I think that comes across.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Jessica. That was a really fun, cool film, and I feel like now I know her better and know Austin a little better too. Hi, Paloma.
Hi, sorry, I keep going in and out. My connection's not great.
Well, that's okay. So we did speak to Nicole a little bit about the film, and this is Pastiche.
Yeah.
And so please offer your contributions here. It's a cool message about someone stealing someone else's art, and how you can easily be caught in that web.
Yeah, so I've always been fascinated with art forgery. It's a huge business, and it started as a feature-length script, and a couple years ago I had shared the story with Nikki, and she loved it and was very encouraging, like, let's try and make a short version of it, make like a teaser of it. And the more research I did is just the lengths that artists go to, make fakes and replicas of renowned artists. Like, it's an art of itself. And I paint myself. I was a fine arts student back in college, so I have a deep love and appreciation for it. And I just, we decided to put our crew together, gather some friends, and make this short version, hoping to later on this year reach out to producers and grants and see if we could hopefully make the feature script. So this is just like a short taste of what it could be. And
Okay, so there's more coming for Pastiche.
Oh yes, for sure. we hope so.
Good. And actually, Nikki mentioned that too. In the film, there is a line where the fraud perpetrator asks the artist, "Did you sign it?" And tell me the importance of that in art in general.
Well, that actually goes back to like me when I was younger, just drawing and painting. That's something that I would always kind of forget about. And throughout the years, people would mention, you know, you always have to sign your work and whatnot. But when it comes to forgery, we actually had a scene where the character David, you get to see him do the whole process of, you know, drawing the canvas in a specific way, erasing, putting the Frida Kahlo signature on there. Like it's pretty intense and interesting. Just the whole process of, you know, aging the linen, the canvas. And yeah, just how easy someone, you know, could go in and replace someone's work, take credit for it. And also I was very interested in, you know, just the whole concept of what is art, what's creativity. And to me, you know, these artists going in and studying someone's style and technique and putting their own twist to it, because she doesn't make an exact replica of a Frida Kahlo painting. Like she just grabs motifs and, you know, her style and creates a whole new piece, which even adds to more value as he, you know, passes it off as an original. So to me, that's a whole art in itself, and very interested in that.
And then also we've mentioned classism, because the artist is asked, "Do you live on this side of town? Well, if not, what are you doing here?"
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like she's the perfect victim for him. You know, she's trying to make her way, sell her artwork, and she's just an easy prey. Like, what is she gonna do? You know, she's not a famous or renowned artist. And in the feature-length script, she's, you know, she's a struggling artist. She needs money. She's broke, so she decides to go in and work for him and make more fakes. But the further and further that she delves into that, it's more and more difficult for her to get out of it. Even though she's, you know, like really interested in it, she's just trying to do it to get by.
If you make a longer film, would you film more in Dallas?
I think so. I mean, most of it we shot it here, and there were some, you know, exterior shots that we wanted it to take place in New York, because the art scene there is, you know, it's very important. It's like one of the meccas. But my crew and, you know, actors and crew members, we're all based in Texas, so we somehow made it work to, like, you know, going over there and shooting for a weekend. So ideally, you know, we would love to shoot there maybe for like a week, and the rest, you know, being here home based. So
Good. Very good. Thank you, Paloma. Hey,
thank you.
Virgie and Maricela. So, hey, let's talk for a minute about how awesome Texas is. And by that, I mean the art scene here, you know, I don't think we need Hollywood anymore. We are making it all in Texas now, and specifically in Dallas, in my opinion. And so are you finding, hey, that you've got great talent locally for you?
I'll have Maricela kind of touch on that, since she's.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot. I went to school in Austin, Texas for college, and there's always been a really incredible art scene there, and a filmmaking community. And then currently right now I'm in San Antonio, and there's just so many talented individuals here. So there's definitely a very large talent pool to choose from when crewing up for a project.
Good. I think of us, and let me jump to you, Anna, you know, as the third coast. we are the talent center. And so I'm just proud of everyone here being part of the Texas block. And as you can tell, there's serious films, there's introspective films, there's films that touch on race and class, and then there's Lisa Norman. I love you, Lisa.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
But Anna, would you comment a little bit more as well for us on just kind of being part of this festival and the importance of Texas to you?
I think it's great. I was actually so pleasantly surprised how many like women of color and also trans stories that there were in this specific block. I was very, very happy with that. I feel like that truly represents more of Texas than what some people would actually think.
Yes.
So I love that. And I love this block. I mean, I was born in Texas. I was raised in Texas. And so I'm all about building the Texas film industry, especially with more narrative work, just because that's my background. But just films in Texas, like, especially women films in Texas too. Like, I think we're badasses, and I think that we can do it all. And like you said earlier, like, we don't need LA. Like, we can build our own thing. Tyler Perry built his own thing in Georgia, so why can't we build something here in Texas ourselves?
Yes, indeed.
So that's what I'm for.
We are the third coast, right here.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon,
I don't want to speak for, I'm sorry, for Justina, who's not here, but I'm so pleased to hear you say that, because diversity generally is such a big priority for us beyond just being a women's film festival. And so it's something that we've sought out in our programming. And luckily there has been no shortage of just amazing films to choose from. So it's nice to hear that.
And Lisa, would you agree there's no stereotypical Texas? This Zoom panel right here is Texas.
It's true. I mean, and Texas is big enough and diverse enough that it's like a bunch of different countries, you know, just all in one. So I love it here and love working with everybody here.
You're right. Okay, so Sharon, that means it's you. Let's talk about Texas and Women Texas Film Fest. Just unmute, please.
I was born and raised in Corpus Christi, Texas, so on the actual third coast. And so much of my work is about life on the coastal bend and just like, you know, being around like refineries and just like that landscape that you would get in a port city. So I attribute so much of my art's inspiration to having lived in Texas specifically. And we see a lot of Latinx work that's coming out of LA that has its own style and its own themes that I feel like as a Latinx filmmaker in Texas, it's very different stories that are coming out of here as well.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
But I love this festival. Especially just, I'm always interested in like the Texas block at any festival, but I love that this festival like even has Texas in the title. I mean, we tend to be pretty proud of our state, I think.
Yes, Women Texas Film Festival.
In all of its flaws as our state, but love it.
Yep. So Brittany, okay, please, let's hope that this bitter neighbor is disappearing in Texas, right? You have to unmute.
I mean, I hope so. Like, you know, we like have everybody said, Texas is so diverse. You know, it's like Texas is like it's its own country. You know, you meet so many people, so many different, you know, identities. So you don't want, you know, ignorant people to, you know, be around somebody who doesn't look like them or who's not have the same background as them. You want to be inviting of everybody here in Texas, because like, I mean, we all know everyone's moving here because, you know, it's cheaper here. So you have different identities, different people. Like my parents are immigrants, so they came from another country to here. So, you know, you want to be inviting of this state, because I mean, it's too big to just have one type. You know, we're not all a bunch of cowboy hats and stuff like that. Like I never even see that. And I'm born and raised in Texas. So like, you know, I will hope we don't have any more of those type of neighbors in Texas. Yeah. I hope we're all nice and welcoming, and we're, you know, just like this panel here, like we are all diverse and have all different stories that, you know, needs to be told.
We don't all drive trucks or ride horses to work.
Yeah, I never seen that in my life. I mean, I'm from the Dallas area, so maybe that's why, but I've never in my life seen like cowboys and horses and stuff like that. And I've been here forever. I know it's here in Texas, but seen it.
Jessica, do you mind if I jump to you? And so I don't know, I feel like you have a love letter to Texas to say as well.
Which is interesting because I am a new arrival to Texas. I'm born and raised in New York and have lived here in Austin for 2 years. Actually, this is my 2-year anniversary this week. So I think I have and my co-director, Jessie Orrit, she also is from New York and came down about a year ago. So in telling this story, it's kind of, I feel like an outsider's perspective, trying to get to know our city. And
was there a little bit of culture shock, or had you been here before maybe?
I had spent a lot of time in Austin. I had a job where I worked here. I would come down from New York a bunch, and I have a lot of friends who have migrated from New York, which is a very expensive place to live. And so it's been a nice change. But yeah, there was definitely culture shock trying to get a car for the first time. That was definitely weird.
Okay, do you say that because you could not understand certain twangs or words or what?
Being, I grew up in New York City, right in the heart of Manhattan. And so I definitely heard a lot of accents and have a lot of cultural things in there. But, Texas definitely has a reputation outside of Texas. It's like people either love it or maybe not love it so much. And so I was a little nervous moving here, but I have definitely loved and embraced every minute of it. And everyone I've met has been fantastic and interesting and incredibly cultured and creative. And, there's wonderful, wonderful things that I've, love here.
And we have Women Texas Film Festival.
Absolutely.
Lisa Norman.
Oh, hi. Yeah.
Because we love what you do every year. This is the 5th year.
Their 5th year.
And
it's a little different than we imagined. Different.
All of these lovely faces, Lisa, are present. This is the new definition of being present. You are all present right here in Dallas right now.
I'll take it.
Bebe, so let's talk about about Texas and Women Texas Film Festival. How important has it been for you?
It's been. I'm very happy that I got into it this year. I noticed this festival several years ago. This is. I would love to got into a festival that features women's work, and I was searching for female filmmakers community in Austin or in Texas, and I don't think I had much luck, so I think I'm pretty happy that I can get into this festival and kind of just maybe try to squeeze in this little community a little bit. So yeah.
Well, we love you, and we're glad you're here. And I think Lisa and Stacy and all of the directors would say they love everyone and appreciate that diversity. And Justina as well, of course.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, baby. Hey, Paloma, let's talk about this festival and also Texas.
So actually, Nikki and I, we had a short film the first year of Women Texas Film Festival. It was called Kleptomania. Nikki actually had 2 short films playing there the first year. So always coming back here after I can't believe it's been 4 or 5 years. It's great. It's, coming back, and it's weird how time passes, and every year you get to meet new filmmakers, and it's so important. It's all about networking and meeting other creators and making connections and supporting one another. So yeah, just very excited that you guys had us back here another year.
You have an important voice, and the festival just wants you to express it.
Yeah.
And Georgia, you have an important voice as well, and an important message. Would it be fair to say that all of us are maybe artists inside, and what we have has to come out? And you guys have done the hard work to put that on celluloid or on MP4, whatever the format.
Yeah, I think part of the reasons why I love documentary is it's the best way to kind of explore a place or learn more about a community. And so someone coming from outside, kind of giving a mic to people in Texas and learning through it that way, and, you know, finding the artistry, like you said, we all have artistry of the people who are working on the, you know, gardening in the Butterfly Center, or, you know, the priest who's in my movie, who is an advocate for immigration and immigrant rights. I think there's artistry in all of that. So being able to create a film about that and kind of giving a platform to the people in Texas, and then being able to show it at a Texas Film Festival really meant a lot to me. So it's really
cool. Woo. And so, and Virgie, okay, so you posted in the chat that you got a question from Facebook. Does Texas have a film commission like Georgia? So please address that.
Yeah, so just some friends watching on Facebook Live, and they had asked if Texas had a film commission like Georgia. It seems like there is one, and I shared them with that link, which is that gov.tex.gov/film commission. So that's been shared. It seems like, you know, again, I'm in California, and I just kind of want to add to what everybody's been saying. You know, being a part of like a female film festival is big for me too, especially so diverse and so many diverse stories. And I live in Los Angeles, which I know a lot of people don't like, but, you know, the kind of temperature here, so to speak, is always, or the climate is like, especially with Me Too and all that stuff that's happened, that there aren't women filmmakers that can make good films, that people wouldn't be interested in immigration stories, people wouldn't be interested in trans stories or people of color stories. The fact that this panel itself is so diverse and the films are so diverse says so much about filmmaking, but also female filmmaking and where it's moving to, that I think this is just the perfect example of like, yes, there are stories, there are female filmmakers of across the board that are making some great work. And I think movies like, when we're talking about on the commercial side, like Black Panther and Crazy Rich Asians, they like did great at the box office if we're talking about like big films. But I think, like for me, just being a part of this and just listening to everybody's stuff, and again, I'm not in Texas, so I can't see everybody's film, but I'm definitely going to be keeping tabs on everybody's work for sure. And hopefully we can all keep in touch.
Well, I say support independent film because it's more heartfelt.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, Lisa, as a board member, any last comments here before we wrap up?
Oh gosh, no, I mean, this has been wonderful. I'm so glad that everybody was able to participate. I think this is our biggest Q&A so far. And yeah, it's just been wonderful. And I did watch and loved all of your films, by the way.
As I did, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Yes, but I firmly believe that independent is just more heartfelt because you're sometimes making a film with no budget, and that means it's made with heart.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Well, all right. So unless someone else has a last message that we need to say, please speak up now. Otherwise, I'll say so long and just encourage viewers and patrons to find the Texas block and pay what you can, and then watch this wonderful array of diverse, important messages, perspectives, and all of these films. All right, thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Jay.